This is The Locker Room, where the coaches of Husson University talk sports.
Hello everyone, I'm your host Alyssa Thurlow, and this is The Locker Room, the show that introduces you to the coaches and athletes of Husson University. Today, I'm pleased to be joined by Jeff Gettler, head coach of the men's soccer team. Thank you for joining me, Coach.
Thanks for having me, Alyssa.
First off, thank you for coming on the show. Can you give us a little bit about a background about yourself for those watching who may not know a lot about you?
Sure. I've been a soccer coach all my life. This was my 38th year as a head college soccer coach, and my 5th year at Husson. So very happy to be here, and this was actually my first class of recruits that I was graduating. So a great year, a fun year, because I got to see my first group of guys, get through their 4 years here.
Yeah. So you mentioned this is your 5th year, so what do you like about it here on campus?
Pretty much everything. I've always enjoyed the small campus atmosphere, the ability to get to know people, to be able to interact and really help the students and the student athletes because it's a small campus, because you can forge alliances and friendships with so many people on campus. And then the quality of our student athletes has just been, and just the quality of the general student population here and the people I work with has been fantastic.
You spent a lot of time analyzing the game of soccer and studying it. So where did your love of soccer come from, and how did you start playing?
Well, I grew up in Philadelphia, started playing in high school, played through college, and then found out about our sport is one of the unique sports that has coaching certifications or licenses. So I was able to, just out of college, run into a coaching course, and it kind of put into words things I knew as a player, but had never been able to articulate. And so from then I went on to be one of the youngest coaches in the country to get his A, which is the highest level license in the US, and then continued to go abroad for coaching schools. So I've been to Germany, England, Holland, Brazil to do coaching courses in different places, Canada, somewhat to further my education, and then eventually just to continue to get different views about the game and about how coaches coach coaches. So, yeah.
Awesome. So you mentioned this is your first recruiting graduating class.
Right.
So what do you like about your team right now, and what, if anything, has surprised you about the team?
Well, I mean, I like everything about them. Fantastic people, fantastic chemistry. The fact that they could play a good brand of successful soccer helped too. But just really great guys who really had a passion for being together and for the sport. And then the things that I liked best about them were their coachability, their ability to, again, being a little redundant, their ability to interact and get along as a group and be a team, I think was just to bring such a diverse group of guys together and then have them be such a close-knit body is just a fantastic thing to watch.
So you've been coaching for almost 40 years now. So how does this team compare to other teams that you've coached?
Other teams in my past career?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, on the team level, pretty fantastic. I don't think they overachieved, but I think they achieved most of their goals and the things that they set out to do. And I think they lived up to their potential, and their belief system was fantastic. So, up there with any of my top years in other schools and other teams.
So over the past 4 seasons, you and the team have found tremendous success, going 36-7-3 in the North Atlantic Conference, and you've captured 2 NEC championships. So what has been the keys to this success?
Well, I think good players, and then their ability to get along with each other and be a team, because we're really a player sport. So a lot of my coaching time is in practice. And then we have armbands that we put on the captains. And then, to be honest, they end up being not just the leaders, but the coaches on the field. Because, our sport, there's no timeouts. It's not a coach-dominated sport. There's no set plays per se, except for restarts when the ball's out of bounds and it's restarted back into the game. So it's pretty much a player sport, a free-flowing game. So you have to have guys that can manage each other, can motivate each other, really. Without timeouts, I get a 10 or 15-minute halftime, and I get a chance to make some limited substitutions, because our substitutions are in soccer, they're regulated. So it's not like basketball where you can make 1 million subs every 2 minutes, every minute. We're really regulated and limited. So we really can't change the game massively by substitution. And in the 10 or 15 minute halftime, you can give them 1 or 2 thoughts on both attacking and defending. But what I've always liked is it's a player-centered game when the games come. And I think that's attractive to the people that play. And you know, it gives us a chance to do our coaching around the game, but not probably in that 90 minutes so much.
So the last season you guys had a 4-game win streak before going into the NEC Championship. So did that fuel kind of some momentum going into that game?
Probably. I think it also meant that we had just finally gotten all the pieces right, people healthy, and just the things we needed to get right. You know, we have probably the shortest playing season of any sport.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very difficult to come in preseason, have 10 days to pick your team. Some coaches believe that you get a system of play and you fit players into the system. And some coaches believe you build a system around the strengths and weaknesses of your players. But we have to do that in 10 days. And I always try to build a little bit around the strengths and weaknesses of our players. So, you know, you have 10 days to find the right system and then get the right people and then get them to play together. So it's a challenge to get through because it's really only about a 13 or 14-week season.
Right.
So I think we were critically, to coin that old adage, peaking at the right time. I think we had everything right, the fitness level of the players, everything right going into the playoffs in the NCAA tournament.
So in the championship, you faced 4-seeded Thomas College, and you swept them 4-0.
Right.
And Phil Frost had quite a night with 3 goals and surpassed the 100 career point mark. So how exciting was that, not just for him, but for as the team as a whole?
Well, I think, you know, Thomas and Husson have been rivals over the past 6 years of NAC play.
Mm-hmm.
Thomas has won 3 championships, and Husson has won 3 championships. So it's needless to say, it's a tremendous rivalry. And the year before, we lost them in the playoffs. The year before that, I think, actually, I don't think we met them the 2 years before that. But it's been a tremendous competition, you know, rivalry. And so to think that we would win the game, which I think, you know, we had beaten them in the regular season here, 3-2. We were down 2-0 at halftime, which is a big amount in soccer because there's not a lot of goals scored. And we came back to score 3 in a tremendous game, dramatic game. So the guys had some confidence going into the final, but no one thought with 20 minutes left that we would be up 4-0. And what it did was it gave me a chance to empty my bench and put guys in, which coincidentally, Brian Potter, our goalkeeper, was going for a career shutout record.
Right.
And, you know, the thought was, gee, is Potter going to get a shutout record? We're emptying the bench to have all these guys play in the conference final. And luckily, he still got it, and the guys performed well. So, yeah, it was just a great night all around. But I think the guys were a little surprised at how well the game turned out for us.
Yeah. You personally had a good night as well, getting your 300th career win. So how special was that for you?
Well, it was okay. You know, it's great to get a win anytime, but in a conference final, even more fantastic. But again, you know, you play to the moment of the drama of the moment, and the drama was to win a championship. And so I think, you know, always that's the most rewarding thing. I think the 300 wins means I've coached for a good amount of time and had good players, you know. But, yeah, on the night it was great because Potter got something, Phil got something, but the team, most importantly, the team, you know, got a championship. So that was great.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the NCAA tournament, you faced Brandeis. So how did you feel the team matched up against them?
Well, Brandeis, the NAC has, for the last few years, not been kind to our winner because if you go out and schedule good teams and you win some of those games, you'll get ranked to a point where, you know, you get some seedings in the NCAA tournament. And for the last 4 years, our NAC champion, Thomas twice and now us twice, we've drawn the #1 team in New England. So Brandeis was undefeated in New England. I think they were 2nd or 3rd in the country and a very good team at home. But our guys believed and fought bravely. But on the night, Brandeis was fantastic. And so they deserved the win. But I thought our guys were really put in a really good effort and fought very bravely on the evening.
So that was the team's 2nd trip to NCAA in 4 years.
Right. So our seniors got two finals they won, and 1 final they lost, and postseason play 3 times because The year we lost in the final, we went to the ECAC tournament.
Right.
So, you know, the seniors, I think, were pretty happy.
Seniors ready. So how is that for the younger players who have another opportunity in the fall to do the same thing?
Well, I think, you know, it sets the bar for them. You know, we've been in individual meetings this week because we just finished our non-traditional season, our spring. And every player, when talking about team goals, has said they want to repeat the NAC. And as we know, when we listen to different teams who've won championships, it's always toughest to repeat that, I think. So that's great, and that will focus them. But I think, you know, it's just interesting because we have a tremendous freshman class. And I've always felt that the sophomore year, because I've been doing this for 38 years, is where kids really blossom and flower in terms of their ability to show what they can do. And I think this class is going to surprise themselves and others and many of them played, but I think they'll be pretty special by the time they turn out for the fall at the end of the season this coming year.
So you had 10 freshmen last season, right?
Yeah, 11 new players, yes.
Yeah, so
yes.
What roles did they play all around last year?
Pretty critical roles because they came in and accepted the leadership of the older players and accepted the culture of the team. You know, and not to brag about our team and to answer your question indirectly, but this was a team that won a championship on the field, that won an academic award nationally, and then won a sportsmanship and ethics award for being one of only 9 men's teams in the country. And this is Division I, II, III, and NAIA men. Only 9 teams won this award for least amount of cards, thus behavior. So, you know, for our new players to accept and embrace that culture that our upperclassmen have created, I thought was just fantastic.
So with the younger team forming, how does this help you build up your program?
Well, even though there were that many new, this coming year we have a really solid senior class of 8 guys that'll be seniors. And so, again, that's double what we had this year. So I agree that we'll look young on some respects, but on other respects with the 8 seniors in a class, and many of them just tremendous guys and fantastic players. You know, everything should be really good.
Awesome. All right, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we will take a closer look at some of the players on the team and what lies ahead for both the men and women's team next season.
Yes, I am. Give it to him hard. No.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Why you stab me with it? No.
They want to help, but don't know how. Teach your kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
Want your education to look like this? Or this? The New England School of Communications. Your passion, our experience, your future. Visit us online at NESCom.edu.
Doesn't see race. Love is love.
Welcome back to the locker room. I'm your host, Alyssa Thurlow, and we are pleased to be joined by head coach of the men's soccer team, Jeff Gettler. So we touched upon him before, but you are losing one key player in your goalkeeper, Brian Potter. So how has he made his mark in the program over the last 4 years?
Well, he's been fantastic in his performances on the field, but he's also really turned into a really strong leader. You know, his freshman year, to give you an example, soccer-wise, we kind of protected him. He was a freshman. We thought he could do the job, but, you know, entering college, being a goalkeeper right away, we tried to protect him a little bit. And I think he ended up with about 60 saves his freshman year, which, again, is relative to soccer. and made all conference as a freshman. But this year we were very cavalier in our approach to going forward and our approach to the team because we knew how good and how special he was. So we kind of left him not alone back there, but we didn't protect him as well as probably we could have tactically in terms of my arrangement of the players. And he made about 130 saves, which is more than double.
Yeah.
But he made them and made all conference again. So, you know, think about he was doing double the work with the same results because he won a championship his freshman year and won a championship his senior year. But we exposed him a lot more because we knew he was that special, and he was just fantastic, you know, the whole year.
So how has he helped your two younger goalkeepers on the team?
Well, I think obviously he's by his training habits, they've been able to see how to train and what to do. Some of the stuff we do in training is competitive, so he's been able to compete with them, so they've been able to see and learn many things from him. And he's staying for his MBA.
Oh, wow.
So he's asked if he can work with the goalkeeper some this next fall because he'll be here for grad school. So we've said he can. So he's actually helping in a direct way also because he's been working with the goalkeepers a bit this spring and will work with them some next fall.
Awesome. So we mentioned him before, but Phil Frost was named first team all NAC after finishing the season with 11 goals and 28 points. So can you elaborate on him as a player and how he has had his impact on the team?
Sure. Phil's a junior and missed a year. So he actually hadn't played for about a year and a half.
Yeah.
So he had a job on the coast this summer and wasn't really able to train and get games. And so, you know, coming back this fall, especially preseason, was hard for him. You know, so he really, talk about a guy, you know, getting a guy where he needs to be by the end of the year. Beginning of the year, we went to a tournament at the beginning of the year, and I think he played in 2 days, maybe 15 minutes of the tournament. We actually got a great result in the first game of the year at Endicott, and a team that ended up winning the ECAC championship. But Phil carried some injuries because his body just wasn't ready, and he'd been away. But a hat trick in the final is, you know, and really the 11 goals gives him 43 goals in 3 years and gives him 3 first-team all-conference selections in 3 years. So he's a pretty special guy that has a knack for scoring goals and a pretty special leader, too. The guys all respect him and are drawn to him, and you know, he's a big character.
So who are some of the younger players that you're expecting to step up this season?
Well, I think in terms of younger players, again, you'd look at guys that are freshmen, so they're going to be sophomores. So Josh Bellamo, who had a key role, played in a lot of games this year, started probably 5 or 6 games. I think he'll be in a great position to impact the team. I think that a fellow from Sweden that was a freshman this year, Martin, will do a great job. He started at right back all year. But again, I think his confidence level and his ability to kind of be settled and know what's going on, because it's a big deal being a freshman, let alone coming from another country and having to adapt. And he's in NESCom, actually, as a communication major. So I think he'll make a very big impact. Saker Ghanayem was a freshman this year who scored some goals and had some assists. And I think he'll get more regular time and make an impact in our midfield. And then actually a guy that'll be a little bit older, but Cooper Antone is a young player, but he hasn't played a lot because of injuries. And I would think he'll make a pretty big splash on our stage next fall, too.
So last season you guys got a lot of awards, not just on the field, but off the field as well, being 1 out of 7 across the nation to earn an NSCAA Team Ethics and Sportsmanship Award. So how does it feel to win such a high achievement?
Well, I was extremely proud of the guys because, you know, it's one arena, the area, the venue, the fact that you're going and it's such a black and white thing to play sports. You win, you lose. Every decision everything is black and white. And so it's incredible to see that we had a team and the culture was such that win or lose, success or failure, individually, reactions to things that happen, because certainly we had 8 losses, so it wasn't a perfect season in any way, and many things happened during the year. The fact that the guys could keep their control and act with a lot of sportsmanship and act as gentlemen and react to things in the way I think we would all hope at Husson we would expect our student athletes to act and react was fantastic. You know, I'm so proud of their ability to control themselves and react a proper way in the sports arena. You know, so really as special as anything we could get as an award.
So we'll switch over to the women's side of things. The women's soccer program had plenty of success last season as well, but they did fall short.
Right.
So what do you think went wrong in the NAC semifinal game?
Well, if I remember correctly, they had in their midfield, they had two players that were pretty special, a freshman, Taylor, and I think she's a sophomore, and both players took injuries. One had a head injury where she collided with another player, Rachel Maroney, and Rachel, you know, had to get staples put in her. It was really a bad head injury, and that kind of took her out before the playoffs at the end of the season and affected their standing, et cetera. And she's kind of the heart and soul of the team, and certainly was the heart and soul of the midfield. And then Taylor was a freshman who sees a pass, is very talented going forward and being able to string things together. And she took an ankle injury right before the playoffs and didn't really recover with that. So I think their midfield just really hurt them because those two players weren't at any kind of maximum performance level as they hit the playoffs. And I remember the playoff games were very tight, but you know, it wasn't quite. I think losing their midfield, the starters really set them back a little bit in their ability to overcome the semifinal.
So your daughter Carly was the coach of the team the last 3 seasons, but she decided not to return. So can you talk a little bit about her future in Virginia?
Yeah, she's moved back to kind of a hometown because we moved there when she was going into 6th grade, and then she actually went to school at University of Richmond. Mm-hmm. So she has an instant set of friends and an instant community that she can be with. And to be honest, she really hated leaving, but just, you know, being SID was a really tough thing as a fall sport coach because we have 9 sports in the fall. You know, obviously in the winter we have 4, and in the spring we have about 6, but the fall is really busy. And it was just really taxing for her to be able to juggle those 2 jobs. So she's taken a club job, and she's stayed involved with college soccer because she's going to be at Randolph-Macon as an assistant coach. Her full-time job is with the club, the Richmond Strikers. But she's enjoying it and happy to be back in Virginia with the warm weather.
Awesome.
You know?
So interesting fact is you've attended every World Cup and European Championship since 1990.
Right.
So do you have any cool stories or memorable moments that you'd like to share?
So many, but the main thing again is usually I had taken my family. Mm-hmm. So we've made it not kind of a vacation where we would explore and do things, and then obviously have opportunities where there'd be games to see and training to see many times. But just the ability to expose my family to such diverse cultures, and you know, because we're talking 90 was Italy, 92 was Sweden, 94 was the U.S., so we got a break there. 96 was England. England, as an example, I met a coach who was willing to open his house up. They moved in, he and his family and kids moved into their relatives and gave us their house for a month. So we were able to live in Stratford-upon-Avon, which is Shakespeare country. And then when they came and visited the U.S., we opened up our house to them later. So we've done exchanges with people, met a diverse group of people and coaches, and you know, it's just been the game. Under the auspices of the game of soccer, we've done a lot of traveling and met a lot of wonderful people and made friends with a lot of great people.
All right, when we come back, we will recap Husson's Athletes of the Week, so don't go anywhere.
Right here in Bangor, Maine is a new day. You are part of a team with passion and creativity. It's about personal attention at NESCom. You gotta pull your weight around here, even if it is the live truck.
Radio's all about personality. Hey, they can't see you.
Today, Coach Nason is preparing students for success.
Another practice day.
Fade up, fade down, fade up. We need a brand image. Go. Okay, here's the game plan.
Everybody has a dream. mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
Welcome back to the locker room. I'm your host, Alyssa Thurlow. We will now turn our attention to the Athletes of the Week. We are pleased to congratulate this week's Athletes of the Week, Kayla Merrill of the softball team and Zach Glazier of the men's lacrosse team. Congratulations to both of them, and good luck to all the teams this week. That's all the time we have for this edition of the locker room. We would like to thank our guest, Jeff Gettler, for coming on the show today. You can follow the locker room on Twitter at lockerroom_TV. If you would like to watch this episode or any previous episode again, you can go to NESCom Journalism on YouTube. For everyone working hard behind the scenes, I'm your host, Alyssa Thurlow. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.